Hello and welcome to KARE 11 on the Record. I'm political reporter Danny Spiewak. Control of the U.S. Congress is on the ballot this November, and there's a very competitive race brewing in southern Minnesota's 1st congressional district. A high school math teacher named Jake Johnson is the presumptive Democratic nominee attempting to unseat a two-time Republican incumbent, U.S. Representative Brad Finstad. As a part of our candidate interviews, we sat down with Jake Johnson this week to talk about his campaign and the path forward. Jake Johnson, thank you for coming to KARE 11 to talk with us. We really appreciate it.
No, appreciate the time.
I'll just ask you right off the bat. You're a high school math teacher. You haven't run for office before. How do you find yourself right now in a congressional race here for a seat in the U.S. House?
Yeah, I mean, listen, my story is a southern Minnesotan story. I grew up in Stewartville, just south of Rochester, and grew up in a very working class household. You know, my dad was a garbage man. My mom was a meter reader. I have 10 siblings. And so you grow up like that, you certainly understand how important hard work is and local community supports. You know, we had a church community and a school community that wrapped its arms around us. Next door neighbors, extended family members who sent help when they could. But with all of that help, I was still a SNAP kid. We were still a Medicaid family. I wouldn't have gone to college if it wasn't for subsidized Stafford loans and Pell Grants. And so went to college, got my teaching degree, University of Wisconsin in La Crosse, married my wife Molly, who actually, fun fact, grew up just 2 streets down from me in Stewartville. And we've got 4 boys. And I've been a math teacher for 20 years, love my job. But you know, as was the case with many people in southern Minnesota, looked around at our government and thought we can do better. We can do better than this. Things are too expensive. We have a congressman that isn't listening to us, won't speak for us, and it just didn't feel like a good time to sit idly by on the sidelines, hoping that somebody would do something about it. And so jumped into the race with a pretty simple idea. Let's just listen to people and hopefully speak on their behalf.
You're the presumptive Democratic candidate against a Republican incumbent, Representative Finstad, who won by double digits. It's a district that President Trump won in 2024. Why do you believe a Democrat would be able to win this district?
Yeah, I mean, our campaign has started by listening, and we've listened throughout this entire campaign. One thing that I'm doing that I think a lot of Democrats maybe don't do or haven't done in the past is we show up everywhere. There are 21 counties in our district. We've held public meetings in all of them. We will continue to. Whereas Congressman Finstad will not host a public town hall meeting, calling his constituents pitchfork-wielding mob, we are going to host one in every county. Because it shouldn't matter if you're a Republican, independent, Democrat, apolitical, and just think the whole system's bust. You should have a chance to meet with your representative in a way that's convenient for you. We may not always agree, but we should definitely show up. We've already been doing this on our campaign. We stop, all across the district. We stop in pubs, restaurants, hardware stores, and we have had some powerful conversations in places where Democrats just don't show up. I've had Republicans tell me, like, Jake, I'm a Republican, but I like you and I'm voting for you. I'm an independent. You seem sensible to me. And I think it starts with conversations and it continues by delivering for people so that you can earn their trust.
If you were elected to Congress, what would be some of your top 2-3 priorities?
Again, my priorities come from deep down my story. I got to live what I thought was an American dream. Growing up in Stewartville, people invested in me, people believed in me, public school teachers, church leaders, community members. But that dream's getting more difficult. We've got to find a way for people to maintain their way of life in places like southern Minnesota. The first thing is things are too expensive, and they're not easy enough. It's things like these tariffs need to end. The Supreme Court ruled they were unconstitutional. They're still wreaking havoc in our farm communities, for our small businesses, for our families. Our congressman got elected in 2024 with a promise that he would make things cheaper for people. Then he got elected, and he did things that were exactly opposed to that. So undoing the tariffs is a big deal for a lot of people in our district. Just when planting season is right around the corner, in southern Minnesota, in our agricultural communities, the Iran war is foisted upon people. And at a time when people are buying their fertilizer, where diesel is at over $5 a gallon, people can't afford to live. So making things cheaper, making things easier is a big part of what we're trying to do. We also think there is a world where we need to tackle corruption. I think both parties need to take a look at the loss of faith in our democratic institutions. I would push very hard for banning members of Congress from buying and selling stocks. Nobody should be getting rich going to Congress. We also need term limits. Term limits so that we don't have lifetime politicians sort of consolidating their power at our expense. I think we need to get money out of politics. So I think sort of making things cheaper, making things easier, and I would say tackling corruption are some of the biggest things we could do so that we could actually invest in places like southern Minnesota again.
When I've talked to Representative Finstad about tariff issues and agriculture, he's often said he believes that the strategy is to diversify markets, so it's not so much reliant on China. Do you see any merit to that argument when it comes to the farmers in your district?
That's not what I'm hearing from farmers. What I'm hearing from farmers, and it doesn't matter what party they're from, what part of the district they're from, they do not like the tariffs. They're a bad deal. Listen, our farmers pay checkoff dollars, and they've paid them for generations to build up export markets. And now, because of these tariffs, they've been eviscerated. The last time these tariffs hit, China didn't just sit around and hope that we would figure it out. They invested in places like Brazil. Just when our farmers think they're getting ahead, we have an administration that invests in beef in Argentina, undercutting markets for our farmers here. And we all have read what's going on with soybeans. And so, yes, our farmers are very, very unhappy with the tariffs. They want them to end. They don't want a check in the mail. They want a market to export to, and tariffs aren't helping with that.
If you were elected and the Democrats were to flip either the House or the Senate or both, you could be in position to potentially have a check on the president. Would you vote to impeach the president if you had that vote?
Yeah, that's not where my focus is, honestly. That's been tried. It didn't work. What I think we need are people in Congress who are willing to work with people across party lines. Republicans, Democrats, independents need to work together to meaningfully deliver for people in southern Minnesota and across this country. There are a lot of people who say, neither party is delivering for me. What's the difference? I think we need to get back to saying, I'm willing to work with anyone to bring down costs and tackle corruption.
How would you handle the war in Iran right now? If you were a member of Congress, how would you be voting in terms of that issue?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, we had a Strait of Hormuz that was open. Trade was flowing. And then, this administration just decided we're going to go in unilaterally without our allies and really disrupt the region, creating a situation that's far less safe. And so I think we need to get out of this situation, this war of choice that could quickly become a quagmire if we're not careful. And let's be clear, taxpayer dollars are being spent right now to destabilize a region even further than it was destabilized before. And unfortunately, Congress has no voice in this right now. They're just along for the ride, including our congressman in southern Minnesota.
Would you vote to authorize more funding for Israel?
No, I mean, I think what we need to do is hold our friends accountable for the decisions that they're making. I think when we see the money that, we are seeing spent in foreign countries right now, I think we need to take a look at how it's being spent. There was a bill recently that would withhold the funding for offensive weapons to Israel. I've said I would vote for that. I would support that. Because it's one thing for a country to defend itself. It's another thing for our weapons to be used to commit, atrocities in parts of the world.
When it comes to facing an incumbent, obviously you're running against somebody's record. What would you say to voters would be the biggest difference between you and Representative Finstad?
I'm somebody that's actually going to show up. We've said since the beginning of this campaign, we're going to host a town hall meeting in every county. And then when elected, we're going to host one every term in every county until the voters decide I'm no longer worthy of their vote. We have seen Congressman Finstad has had 4 years, a track record of not showing up and listening to his constituents. That's going to be a massive difference if people vote for me.
Democrats have really struggled, it's been well documented, with, say, working class voters or even rural voters. Why would you be any different as a candidate attempting to reach those voters?
I think it just goes back to showing up. Like, my background is one where, like, I come from Stewartville. My life growing up was one where we relied on each other. Small towns all across southern Minnesota are looking to hang on to their way of life. It's everything from schools that are underfunded rural healthcare that is underfunded, lack of job opportunity, and property taxes that are too high. And so when people don't show up to tell their story and listen to folks, they're going to drift away. That's not who I am. That's not who I will be. And people who know me know that about me, that I'm going to show up. I'm going to keep showing up. We'll have hard conversations. We may not always agree, but I'm darn well going to show up.
Okay, Jake Johnson, thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for your time.
Welcome back. Minnesota Republican State Senator Jeremy Miller, the former majority leader of his caucus in the Senate, is not seeking re-election after his term ends in 2026. This week at the Capitol, we sat down with him to talk about his priorities for the rest of the session and a look back at his career in the Capitol. Well, Senator, thank you for joining us here at the Capitol. We really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Before I get into some of the bills that you're working on here this week in this session, this is your final month here as you're not seeking re-election. Just what would you say, even in the minority party, are your top priorities over the next 3 weeks or so in the legislature?
Sure. Just want to continue to deliver for the people that I have the great honor of representing. I've been here for 16 years. It's hard to believe. And as you mentioned, this is my last year in the Senate, and it's been an honor of a lifetime to serve the people of southeastern Minnesota. And we're going to continue to work hard for the good folks as long as I'm here. We're not going to stop. So still a lot of things that we need to get done here in the last few weeks. There's 3 to 4 weeks left of session, whatever it is. I don't have an official countdown, even though it's my last year, but it is getting close to crunch time here at the legislature. So things will start to move relatively quickly here in the next couple weeks.
You have a bill that was heard in taxes related to a revenue fund, really to try to incentivize major sporting events in Minnesota. Tell us about that. It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, so this is something that I'm very passionate about, is attracting large-scale sporting events to the state of Minnesota. Number one, it's a significant economic impact for the state of Minnesota, and then also it's awesome to bring in people from all over the country and in some cases all over the world to showcase all the great things that Minnesota has to offer. So this bill would start a new sports and events revenue fund to provide organizations like Minnesota Sports and Events funding so they can bid on these large-scale events. Way back in the day, it used to work where events would just travel around the country and they would go to different cities. It's very different now. You have to bid on these events to bring them to your state. One that Minnesota Sports and Events is working on right now is the 2028 NFL Draft. Minnesota is a finalist for that, but it's very, very expensive. In the area of $20 to $25 million needs to be raised in order to bring an event like that to Minnesota. So that's why it's important to have a fund with a permanent funding source so organizations like Minnesota Sports and Events can bid on these large-scale events, bring them to our state, and then we can benefit from that economic development. Another big event that we were successful in getting is WWE SummerSlam. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan, so this one is I'm very passionate about, and that'll be held August 1st and 2nd at US Bank Stadium. And the projected economic impact for having SummerSlam in Minnesota is an estimated $100 million or more of economic impact for the state of Minnesota. So it's pretty significant, and that's why I'm so passionate about it and working very hard to try to get this bill passed so we can bring more major sporting events to Minnesota.
To those that might be skeptical of using dollars to try to lure these events, do you believe taxpayers will get a return on their investment for this?
They absolutely will get a return on their investment, and the great thing about this is we're not using any existing funds. What this would do is it's a performance-based model, so the funding would only go into this account if major events come to Minnesota. So how it works is we would take the sales tax revenue that is generated from those specific large-scale events and then put that tax revenue into a special revenue account that can be used to bring future large-scale events to Minnesota. So really, it's a win-win, and it does not affect our current budget situation here in Minnesota. It really, in many ways, would only improve it.
Another issue that you've been, kind of at the forefront of course, is legalized sports betting. It's been close the last couple of years, but it never got over the finish line. As you walk away from the legislature, why do you believe that never came to fruition in your time?
I don't know, to be honest with you, because it is an issue that I hear about from folks not only in southeastern Minnesota, but across the state of Minnesota. In fact, it's one of the issues that I hear most about from people. So I haven't quite been able to figure out why we haven't been able to get enough bipartisan support to get that across the finish line. One of the unique factors this year is the prediction markets have become very popular, and of course those are legal. It's technically not betting, but really it is betting on the outcome of a sporting event or other events. And I think in a way, or at least I thought in a way, that would help us get sports betting passed. But on the flip side, since folks do have that option to use the prediction markets, there's less advocacy to pass sports betting because they're basically already able to do it here in Minnesota. But it's something we'll continue to work on, and I think it would be a huge benefit for our state, and most importantly, it would put some consumer protections in place to make sure that those folks that do want to bet on sports are doing it in a safe manner, and it would also generate tax revenue for Minnesota, and that's another important reason why I believe that we should do it.
It's been interesting looking at some of the national polling. People find sports gambling more acceptable because it's part of life now in most states, but there are also rising concerns, as you mentioned, about consumer protections or addiction issues. Do you believe there's a risk that in future legislatures that public opinion may turn against this issue?
Well, public opinion right now is very supportive of this issue, at least based on what I'm hearing from folks. And I think that's why it's important for us to legalize it here in Minnesota. The reality is it's already happening. People are betting on sports in Minnesota. They're either doing it illegally with offshore accounts, they're doing it legally on the prediction markets, or they're simply driving to a neighboring state that they can do it on a mobile device. So people are already doing it. That's why I think it's important to have those consumer protections in place. For example, right now on illegal markets or on the prediction markets, Minnesotans who are 18 years or older can bet, and they can do so using a credit card. Under the bill that we're working on to legalize sports betting, you'd have to be 21 years or older, and using a credit card would be prohibited. So those are just two of the important consumer protections that I think are important, and one of the reasons why I'm pushing so hard to pass a bill to legalize sports betting here in Minnesota.
Do you support regulations around banning prediction markets?
I support regulating prediction markets. I don't support a full ban on the prediction markets. I think that would contradict what I'm trying to do with legalizing sports betting. The reality is people want to do it, and I don't think we should get in their way of doing it. Should we regulate it so politicians can't bet on their own race, for example? I think that would be a good idea to have some regulations, but I do not support an outright ban on the prediction markets.
As you look back on your tenure here, as you're kind of coming down to the finish line, what would you point to over your time in the Senate that you're most proud of, or you believe you accomplished here?
Sure. So, yeah, I've had a lot of leadership positions over the years. Now I'm serving in a rank and file position, and I've enjoyed each position that I've been in and really been able to get things done regardless of if I was leader of the Senate or a rank and file member. And the most important reason why is building relationships. It is so important around this place to reach across the aisle, get to know people, and build those relationships. And even if you disagree with someone on an issue, you can do it in a respectful manner. And the way I approach every issue is, okay, let's determine what the problem is or what the issue is, what's the concern, and then how do we figure out a path to the solution? And the best way to do that is to sit down around a table like this and get input from multiple different people that might agree with you, people that might disagree with you, and the more ideas that you put on the table, the better options, the better opportunities you have to get to a good solution. So really listening and working together to try to find solutions. And there are so many issues that I've had the opportunity to work on during my time in the Senate. And one that I'm most proud of, and the reason why it's top of mind is we just had a discussion, a meeting about this yesterday, but a few years ago, actually during the time when I was president of the Senate, we passed a bill to establish a rare disease advisory council here in the state of Minnesota. And the reason why this was so important and something that I was so passionate about was this was brought to me by a constituent. Not a special interest group, not high-powered lobbyists, but a constituent, a husband and wife who lost their son to a rare disease. And as a result, we worked on some newborn screening legislation, and then we also worked together to establish this Rare Disease Advisory Council. And truly, that is what it's all about, doing what I can in this position to help make a difference in the lives of others. And the Rare Disease Advisory Council is just one of the many, many different issues and bills that I've had an opportunity to work on during my time in the Senate. And it's, at the end of the day, it's pretty special to know that you're helping make a difference in the lives of others.
After this term ends, will you leave the door open to potentially running for a higher office or just another office at some point?
I'll never. I don't want to close that door. Never say never. So I'm not closing that door. But at this point in time, I don't have any plans to run for higher office. I'm going to focus on being the best husband I can be, the best father I can be. I am involved in multiple different small businesses down in Winona, scrap recycling and waste hauling business. My wife and I own a restaurant. We have some real estate investments. So I have a lot of things going on. I'm getting pulled in multiple different directions, and I am very much looking forward to being home more often with my wife and kids.
All right. Thank you, Senator. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of KARE 11 On the Record. Remember, you can catch us every Sunday morning on KARE 11, streaming on KARE 11 Plus, and on demand.